Hey, good morning, everybody. I am Kris Wilson. My company is Modified Independence Evaluations. I am an occupational therapist who is an expert in the area of home safety for seniors and people with disabilities. Thought I'd take a little bit of time just to tell everybody about me. First off, I am married to my wonderful wife, Carrie, who is a professional makeup artist here in Jacksonville, and stepfather to her daughter, Paige. Paige is in college at UNF working on her master's degree and hopes to run some kind of healthcare place eventually. Just a little bit of background in case you don't know. Paige is visually impaired. She was born with something called macular hypoplasia, and essentially it means that she can't read normal print like you and I, and can't operate a motor vehicle. So if you've ever driven in Jacksonville, anyway, bad joke. So continuing about me, I am a medically retired U.S. Navy submariner. I operated a nuclear reactor on a submarine, so my background is in nuclear physics. I love science, chemistry, anything that is puzzling and you can't see it. I love that kind of stuff. Love stuff about the universe and stuff like that. Where all of this came from and everything is just fascinating to me. So, unfortunately, as you heard me mention, I'm medically retired from the Navy. I got hurt 3 days after I re-enlisted. The enlistment for my specialty in the Navy was for 6 years, and I re-enlisted, and 3 days later I got injured at Newport News Shipyard and had multiple surgeries, and eventually the Navy said that they couldn't fix Humpty Dumpty anymore, and I had to go do something else. So after those surgeries, I spent a lot of time in therapy. And before I actually went in the Navy, I went to school at Slippery Rock University where I was going to be a physical therapist. So it was just natural, I guess that's what I was meant to do. So I went back to school and ended up at the University of St. Augustine where I got my master's degree in occupational therapy. During one of my field work opportunities, went out to on home like a home health visit. Went out with my teacher and actually did a pseudo home safety assessment, just kind of making recommendations for this lady. And while we were in the house, my brain was just going. I was thinking about, the size of her walker and the space in her tiny little condo down on Anastasia Island. So it was just kind of like then that things started clicking a little bit. After I graduated school, I went to work for Brooks, did a little bit of inpatient rehab at the hospital, a little bit of outpatient rehab in Fleming Island, where I worked with a lot of fingers, hands, wrists, and elbows and shoulders. Even in outpatient, they still separate us by the belly button. But I did a lot of that, and got an opportunity to go to inpatient rehab at St. Catherine's. Did a little bit of that, enjoyed that, but unfortunately, one day I was on my way home from work and got rear-ended very badly at an intersection, and it put me out of work for, I think, 13 months, something like that. It was unfortunately, when I got hit, it herniated a couple discs in my low back and my neck, and I just couldn't physically pick patients up anymore. Even if I did have a gait belt at the time, I just I couldn't pick people up. So my FMLA ran out, and I had to figure out what else I was going to do. And I thought back to several people who were trying to get me to go to home health care. And I got to thank Lucy. Lucy is the reason not only that I got into home health care, but pretty much the reason why I'm sitting in front of you today. Lucy has been a great proponent of what I do and has introduced me to a lot of the right people. Her and Andrea Crowder. I really appreciate both of you. Not leaving anybody out intentionally. There's a lot of people that I've met on this journey, and I appreciate all of you. But when I think back on things, there's Lucy, who got me into home care. There's Andrea, who helped me just days after I quit my position at Orange Park, and then of course my good friend Cindy Petito. She's the one who got me into home modifications. And then lastly, you guys will see a bio about my good friend and certified occupational therapy assistant, Jackie Thomas. She's working with my company now after numerous years working in an inpatient rehab, seeing the revolving door of patients who discharge home, they fall down, and then they come back through the hospital system and back to rehab. And it is exactly like that. It's a revolving door. And somebody once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, for 10 years in home care with various different agencies, I think I've worked for 8 agencies in town through the years. I just kept seeing the same thing. Patients would have a medical incident or a fall and go to the hospital, and then they go to rehab, and then they come home with home health care. And then all of us professional therapists would go out and do the best with what we had to deal with, which was typically a patient who's very weak, not really willing to exercise very much to get stronger. And in my opinion, the most important thing was the home environment that's just not set up for somebody who is, number one, a fall risk, number two, using an ambulatory device, whether it be for the first time or for numerous years. When you change the way that somebody moves, you change the possibility of them falling and actually getting injured. So did some time in home healthcare, really enjoyed that. I tell people all the time I was solving a $10,000 problem with a $55 solution. The $55 solution, by the way, is a tub transfer bench. It will work in most situations and replaces the necessity for caregivers who don't use gait belts, replaces the misnomer that a grab bar is going to stop somebody from falling. So right before, I guess it was 2019, that's when Cindy reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in getting involved with the Florida Brain and Spinal Cord Injury Program. For those of you not from Florida or not familiar with the program, we have a wonderful grant here in the state that was started out with seed money from JCPenney. And that money is used every year to help people as the payer of last resort for anybody who suffers a brain injury or spinal cord injury in the state of Florida. I've been extremely blessed to be part of that program because oftentimes these people are young and their family is trying to figure out not only how to do family things and how to do career things, but also take care of somebody who's been very badly injured. Brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, those are the top of the heap as far as difficulty to care for. Thankfully, I had Cindy in my corner, and anytime I needed, to counsel with her or whatever, she was available and really helped me understand the nuance of how to get somebody in that kind of situation around their home. Because it's not just me, if I'm the patient, it's not just me and the walker or the wheelchair. When we're talking about these folks, a lot of times they're in significantly larger powered wheelchairs that have a large rotating base and a tilt back backrest and headrest and the wheels on the back and everything like that. So it makes it a lot bigger. And there's measurements that go into that and figuring out how to get the thing to fit. So from there, I during COVID, worked a marketing job for a Orange Park rehab here in Clay County. Learned a lot about marketing, learned a lot about myself. And after my 2-year contract was up, I was glad to leave that position. Everybody's meant to do something, and that's not what I was meant to do. But I do appreciate the connections that I made while I was there. Met a lot of really cool people, and I learned a lot about how to market, and learned even more about insurance, learned even more about what's covered, what's not covered. and really came to understand the acuity level of a lot of these patients. I mean, when somebody goes to acute rehab, it's because something serious has happened to them. This isn't just skilled nursing where they get 45 minutes of therapy a day. This is 3 hours a day for usually up to 21 days. And if you're a therapist or you're in healthcare, you know that somebody's not going to get better typically in 21 days. So we were discharging patients home that, their home was still an obstacle, and then a home health agency would come in, and somebody not certified in home modifications would come in and make recommendations for equipment. And, not only have they suffered this injury, but then on top of it, the added injury of, for lack of a better term, ignorance. There are people like that like me out there in the world who do what we do. And the purpose is to not walk into a house and see a room full of unnecessary equipment because of recommendations that were made by people that either, number one, didn't even see the home. You can imagine a therapist in a rehab recommending equipment and they've never even seen your home. And nothing against patients, but you don't know what you don't know. And when somebody asks you if you have a shower chair and you say yes, I ask what kind of shower chair. Other people are just like, oh, cool, you got a shower chair, and they move on. Because there are different chairs for different purposes, and there's a lot of different things that should be modified in order to make the space safe. So January of 22, I left my full-time position, went out on my own. About the same time, I was approved for 70% disability with the VA, which means that my health care was covered. So we didn't have to pay for the marketplace for myself and my wife. And so that was really the last piece of the puzzle that I needed to fall into place. About 6 months ago, I'm going to back up a little bit. In January 22 is when I started going out and doing marketing, a lot of networking, spent an hour a day meeting with people that were in the same space as me, whether it be home care or patient-centered care of some sort, or adjacent businesses, people that do things to the home. Because typically if the bathroom doesn't work for the patient, this is probably a home that they've lived in for a long time, and that means that the roof and the gutters and the windows and the paint and the flooring and everything like that is also not usually in the best condition, just because it's hard to maintain those things as we get older. Again, that's where I met a lot of the most important people that have helped me with the success of my business so far. And so about 6 months ago, I got back in contact with my good friend, Jackie. Jackie is, like I said, a certified occupational therapy assistant. And she worked for 12 years at IL Rehab down in Fleming Island, where she was a rehab director, which meant that she dealt with everything from the moment that they went in the door until they went out the door. And then, unfortunately, she saw the same thing where they came right back in the door. And it didn't matter which home health they went home with. It was because, in my opinion, in her opinion, we're not serving the population adequately by going into the home, being restricted on the number of visits that we get for therapy, and not really having anybody certified like she and I are in home safety and home modifications. So brought her on board. She's been integral in the bringing Medicare on board. We are now able to take Medicare, most insurances, just not HMOs. We can provide a basic home safety assessment, provide the client or the patient with all of our professional recommendations, and it serves as a punch list. We provide resources as far as which shower chair to buy, where to buy it at, and even contacts, or links to my YouTube page or whatever, so that they can see how to assemble the device and how to adjust it. In my opinion, somebody like me or Jackie going into the home and make recommendations for equipment should then be followed up with an order for home health care, where the occupational therapist can actually address safety and address adjusting the equipment and properly using the equipment for the purposes of safety. And then they don't have to try to convince the patient to buy a shower chair when they only have one visit a week for occupational therapy. Ultimately, that's where we are now. We've been out marketing to a lot of doctors' offices and stuff like that. So if you think you need a home safety assessment, you can talk to your doctor and have them write an order. They can fax it over to us and we'll get in contact with you and get it scheduled. What we do is come in and do a one-day assessment. We evaluate you, we assess the home, discharge you same day. That way there's no lingering billing out there or anything like that. I don't come back and teach you how to put your socks on, and I don't come back and put your shower chair together for you. But the resources that I provide my patients and clients with can definitely help with those things. So that's where we are now. One-day assessment provides you and your primary care provider with the information. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm all over social media: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Modified Independence. My website is modified-independence, or if it's easier to remember, I have www.callbeforemomfalls.com. I don't have anything against moms. That's why I bought www.callbeforedadfalls.com as well. So I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but a lot of times those are the words that people are looking for when they're searching. So lots of really cool things coming. This is just an intro video so that people can see who I am and what I'm about. And there's plenty of other videos. I know that one of the things I'm supposed to say to you is if you like what I have to say, or you're interested in any of the things that we do over here, feel free to like, follow, and subscribe. That'll keep you up to date as far as when videos are posted and events that we may be hosting that would be beneficial to you or a person that you're caring for. And otherwise, drop a comment below if you have questions or topics that you'd like to see me cover. I got a lot of videos on the way, and just trying to take advantage of September, which is Falls Prevention Awareness Month. And look out for us at local senior centers and events for the next few weeks during the month of September, as we'll be presenting the Saving Claire project to providers and seniors in our area. So lots of fun things. I really look forward to helping you. If you're a primary care physician and you're watching this video, I hope to work with your patients. We are the only version of this in the area. We're not trying to do extra therapy visits or anything like that. We're just trying to help people prevent falling. That way they can live independently and gracefully in their homes for as long as possible. So for now, I'm Kris Wilson, occupational therapist, owner, and consultant for Modified Independence Evaluations. And I really appreciate your time, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.